Hi, this is Renee Stilson, the Balanced Pet Sitter, and today I'm going to show you how to do subcutaneous fluids on a cat. Now, my cat is particularly cooperative, as you might have seen in the pilling sequence with Pixie, and different cats are at different levels, basically. There are any number of reasons why we pet sitters may have occasion to do subcutaneous fluids. It might be a cat with kidney disease. It might be a cat who's had some sort of medical crisis and the vet did subcutaneous fluids and wants them to continue those at home. I've had cats that had hereditarily small kidneys. And so it just may be any number of reasons. It's different than doing it at the vet because at the vet there are usually two people, and at home it's just going to generally be one of us unless we're going into the home and doing subcutaneous fluids with the people there. But most of the time people are out of town, and that's why we're continuing to do the fluids. So welcome to my bathroom. And this is the tubing. You actually want the bag to be above the level of where you're doing the fluids, and you want the cat to be comfortable in a spot they usually are. So Pixie loves her bed. That's why we have her bed here. But we decided to raise it up to the counter level, so that makes it easier for the person doing the fluids. I started out doing it on the floor with her bed. But then we decided to change it to up here, which makes it a lot easier. So we have the tubing here, and I end up with a clean needle all the time on the tubing so that I know that when I finish, the needle I replace it and then it's clean the next time. There are two ways to clamp off the tubing. Here is the rotary wheel, which is serrated. I don't know if you can see that. And that's great for when you're finishing up and then also just storing it that way. But I prefer using this second clamp. So what I do is I clamp this one off right before I do the fluids. And then I release the rotary wheel. And the reason why I do that is because the rotary wheel has a very serrated pinch to it, and you definitely want to get that tubing open because you don't want it to be delayed in starting. Once you get the needle into the cat, you want that flow to go. So basically I'm taking off the crimp that was on there before, and I'm putting a new crimp in, but this one bounces back pretty quickly, especially because it's just been clamped right there. So we're all set for Pixie, and again, you'll find a place where you want to hang your bag of fluids. If you do the fluids on the floor, you can have it on a towel rack. We started out with it on the towel rack, and then we did the fluids on the floor. I've also seen clients have a stool with a little kitty carrier, more like the Sherpa type of carriers that zip open at the top. And that really helps if a cat is very wiggly or resistive at all, and that helps us contain the cat so we can do the fluids again with one person. All right, so now we're gonna go get Pixie. Once we're all set up, let me go find her. Pixie, let's go get our fluids. It's her favorite thing, but she knows it really helps her, so she's all set here, and we're going to come in, and we're going to get on the bed, and usually, hopefully she won't make a liar out of me. Do you know you're being filmed? How about settling down for us, okay? Yeah, usually she'll just settle right down on the side. Now, granted, this is an example of a very easy cat. So we'll start with that, right, Pix? Yeah, there we go. And as long as we're sweet talking her and getting her to just relax here, then she does really well. So we're taking the needle off, or the cap off the needle. And the needle, it has a direction. It basically has a bevel on it. You want the beveled side up so that it will go in very smoothly in this direction. And what you want to do is you want to make a little pocket with your fingers. So you take your index finger right here behind the shoulder blades. And then you take your middle and your thumb and you make a pocket like that. And let me see if I can just move her this way just for that reason, but I'm not gonna do it from that direction. So you take your index finger and your thumb and then you make a pocket right there. Okay, I can probably do this left-handed. Actually, I've had to do it on a kitty left-handed before. So we take our bevel and we just put the needle under that pocket. And the only thing that we really want to make sure of is that we don't poke all the way through the skin and that we don't poke our finger, because if we poke our finger, it is like a little scalpel and you will bleed like you will not believe just out of there. So now the needle is in and I'm holding it, and then we're going to release this little clamp here and just make sure that the tubing is opened up. And we can tell it's open up because it's going to be dripping here, and that will start the flow. As long as we know we can see it dripping, then we know the fluids are going in. And Pixie's she's so good. She's just going to sit here and be really cooperative. And generally the vet has us do 100 to 150 milliliters. So if you can see here, we started on the 5 and then we're going to go to the 6, and that makes it 100 milliliters. So once we get, and you can see it's already going down pretty decently on the bag here. We're having a really good flow, right, Pixie? And Pixie loves it. Well, let me wipe your eyes because we must do that. Yeah, because she always has weepy eyes. And then she loves it when we sweet talk and when we give her lots of chin scratches. Oh, Pixie, here, let me get your eyes too. She just loves being fiddled with. Okay, we have fleece covering everything at this point in time. So there's little Miss Pix, and she's on her bed. She watches, sometimes she watches the flow. It's kind of funny. Like she'll look up there and it's like she knows where it's coming from and that it's helping her. Pixie. And she likes to see herself in the mirror. So this seems to be a good place for us. Generally, a client will already have things set up, but there are cases where the client is freaked out. Their cat got diagnosed with something. The vet did Subq fluids. The client is really intimidated to do them. Also, just rocking back and forth a little bit helps calm them. I'm not like squeezing Pixie's neck. I'm actually cradling her chin because she loves that. So in some cases we're going in and we are starting to do fluids, and maybe we're trying to teach the client actually, or at least help them get it done at home. I know. So now Pixie's going to get a little wiggly. So we're just going to set back down, and I always try to just keep my thumb or my finger on the needle there, so she won't pull it out. And then we're just going to keep going until we get our 100 milliliters in, and we're just humming along here, which is great. And you can see this pocket of fluid on Pixie's neck. She's got this little hunchback here, and that's where the fluid is collecting, and that will gradually just get absorbed into her tissues and hydrate her, which will be very good. It makes her feel a lot better. Pixie does not have kidney disease. She has some severe constipation issues, and so we're just trying to get more fluid into her system so she can pass those stools a little more easily and they'll be a little bit softer. And we're doing that in addition to her medications. But I just noticed when she was having the constipation issues that she was really dehydrated. And so I'll do another video on how to tell if a cat is dehydrated or not. But generally, and I could have done this before, but now she'll be very well hydrated, of course. So basically, you can take their skin right about here, back here, and you can pinch it, and if it bounces back, which it's bouncing back pretty well right now, If it bounces back, then that means they're well hydrated. If it just kind of goes really slowly, that means they are dehydrated. And so we always look for that. Okay, are we done? Pixie usually knows when we're done. So we're at the 6. And so we're going to clamp off our clamp here with the wheel. And that's a lot easier to do than the green clamp. And then what we're going to do, hang on just a second, Pixie. What we're going to do is we're going to take the needle out, but we're going to pinch the spot. I like to poke the needle into the bed here so I know I don't poke my hand. We're going to pinch the area where the needle came out of, because otherwise she'll just start leaking. And especially with the more dehydrated cats, with the more fragile, or what do I want to say, dried out skin or tough skin, the hole just doesn't want to close up very quickly. So we do this for about 30 seconds. And Pixie's not in love with this process. She's usually about ready to go by now. But we're just going to do that so it won't leak all out on us. Right, Pixie? Yeah, you're such a good girl. You're such a good girl. What a good demo. Yeah. Did you know? Did you know you were going to help teach everybody? Yeah. She loves having her ears scratched and her chin scratched. And yeah. All right. So that should be pretty good. And now I'm going to lift her down. And we are done with this process. So I'm going to let Pixie go. Okay, there you go, my dear. Her little hunchbackles. And I actually prefer the 20 gauge needles. They're a little smaller. The vets usually go with 18 gauge, but they're a little bit bigger. The animals don't seem to like them as well. They seem to be more uncomfortable. They drip faster. So if you've got an animal that's really, really wiggly, you can try the 18 gauge, but the 20 gauges are nice because they're comfortable. As you could see, Pixie didn't even really flinch when I put the needle in. And so it's kind of a happy medium, you find. So you take the needle and you never hold the cap, because again, these needles are so sharp, you will not know what hit you, and your finger or thumb or whatever will be just bleeding something awful. So you don't recap the needle, but you take the needle and you put it inside the cap, and there we go. And then we know that it's on there, and then we click it, because that way it's not going to get our finger. So different mechanisms are different. Some just push on. This one happens to have some threads. So we twist it off. There we go. Then we take our new one, take the cap, or yeah, I guess it's called the cap, well, or it's the base. Stick it on here, and then we screw that back on. It's nice and snug. We've got our wheel tightened. We've got our green clamp loose, and we are all ready for the next time. And then you just have to make sure that you put your old needle in some type of sharps container, which I use basically an old prescription bottle here. And then when I get that full, then I put it into an official sharps container that I have in another location. All right, so that is it. Thank you so much for watching, all you pet sitters, or even you folks who are doing Subq fluids on your own cats. And hopefully this was helpful to you.